Hello Darts Nutz, welcome to Darts Review channel. In this video I'm going to be checking out a set from the new Shot Badlands range, and these are the Rustin, and a really nicely machined dart it looks. Like I said in the preview though, if you're not a fan of fancy machined barrels and coatings, then probably not going to be for you, but if you are, it's a really nice example of that kind of style. It's really quite amazing just how much design they can come out with for different cuts and that, but I really quite like the look of these. For some reason it kind of reminds me of that is it the Taipei Tower? I don't know why, but it just does. Anyway, let's check them out.
I'm reviewing the 23 gram version, the 90% tungsten. They're also in 24 and 25 gram steel tip, 20 gram soft tip, and the retail for £99.95.
So as you can see, it comes in the new Shot cardboard packaging, and like I mentioned before, this new theme that they've got, the Badlands tread heads, it's like a graphic novel, kind of a Mad Max style, and the box even looks like a comic book, graphic novel, what have you. Some nice images on the box, like almost feels like you're buying a video game as well. But it's got all the info on the box about what's inside, even has a grip rating on there now, and it tells you all about the darts and the grip. I think it calls the grip a Throttlefang Throttlefang grip. Try saying that when you're drunk. Now inside it's got a little notch there, so you can grab hold of that and pull the section out if you can, but for some reason I don't know if it's my fingers making the box too tight against the foam, but I can't get it out that way, so I'm gonna have to open the bottom as well and push it. Oh, come on, not finding it easy to get out. Right, finally. So inside there's a foam, dense foam inlay, and I've even got the little Shot symbol on the bottom there, and that's in a point holder, which has been a long time since I've seen any Shot darts in a point holder, but that looks pretty amazing, the barrels. And they come with the Tau carbon in between, and you've got these Rustin small standard flights, again really nicely done with the graphics. So the dart's fitted with the etched points, and the shape of the barrel is a little bit hard to describe. It says it's a front balance dart on the box, but it doesn't look like your typical front weighted style. It may be just because there's more of the barrel milled out on this section, which is giving it a front weighted feel, but it's almost like an optical illusion, because this section kind of looks as if it's more pronounced than the rest, but I think it's just the way that angle is there, and obviously that bit sticks out a little bit, but to me it's more of like a tapered style shape. But I would say for, well, maybe mid to rear grippers, somewhere in between, you're probably going to get the best part of the barrel there with that Throttlefang grip. It's probably not as aggressive as it looks. It does look as if it's quite vicious, but I think it's just the way it sits in the fingers. When you run your fingers that way, it almost feels like there's not much grip there, but when you push that way, you just get a little bit of edginess where it kind of angles in, and then you get the bites on them little points there, so it's almost like arrow heads, but it says Throttlefang grip, so interesting name for a grip, but it might be quite effective. That just gives you little push points there. Obviously I'm a front gripper, so I'm going to be holding it around there, so probably less grippy there and less grippy right at the end, so that section definitely most grippy. And again, when I mentioned it in the preview, I love the way that light plays on that orange, almost looks like a flame when it goes over it, but really nicely machined and very neatly done overall with the coating and what have you, and fitted with the Tau carbon tweeny stems and the Rustin small standard flights. So that's the full setup. We'll have a super close look at the grip now.
So as you can see, they're fitted with the edge point, which is almost got like an echocardiogram kind of pattern. And then you've got the tapered nose, which has got a kind of a shark style grip. And then you move into the section where you've got the wider rings and then double thin rings in between, but again it's got the lateral cuts running through it. And as you move a little bit further along, you've got some thin ring and groove grip, but again with the lateral cuts. And then just beyond that you start going into that Throttlefang grip. It's hard getting your tongue around that. But it almost looks like I said before, it kind of reminds me of the Type A tower, but it also reminds me of like some kind of like tribal dress gear, like you see in some like tribes when they put them fancy skirts on with all that kind of weird grass stuff what they have on it. Kind of looks like that. And nice contrast between the orange and the black. And like I said before, it's probably not as aggressively grippy as it looks. You've got these kind of like pointed arrow shapes, but you do get some little corners and that for you to hold on to when you're pushing against it. And then just a ring and groove grip on the end and a small taper at the very end of the barrel. So there you go, that's the super close look at the shot Badlands Rustin darts. So the dart's fitted with the 30mm etched points. You've got the tapered nose, which has got a kind of a shark style grip, and the little bit of a ring at the very front, 5.5mm, and then you've got these wide rings with the lateral cuts running through and the double rings in between, that's 13mm. And then you start into the Throttlefang grip, which is these kind of like wide flared out shark style rings with quite wide deep grooves in between, that's 17.6mm. Got some thin ring and groove with the lateral cuts, 4.9mm, and then some ring and groove and a taper on the end, 3.9mm, length 44.9mm, wide is 7.7mm.
$23.07 23.06 grams and 23.06 grams, nearly perfect. Full setup 24.62 grams.
So this is the balance with nothing attached, and this is the balance with the supplied setup. So as I mentioned before, it's probably not as grippy as you expect, maybe 6.5 at most, but obviously it depends on the individual.
Let's give them a throw and see how they go. One dart each double, front grip first. Not too far away. Oh, too many beams on that one. It's quite zippy through the air, like. I think it's a really nice shape to the barrel. It's not particularly long as well, so balance is rather nice, but for me, I'm losing out on that fancy grippy part because I don't really think it's as grippy on that front where I'm holding it as what it looks, and I'm a little bit disappointed about that. That's mainly because I just like that section a bit, because it gives you something like edgy to push against, whereas I'm not getting that sensation where I'm holding it at the front, but it's still flying through the air really nice, quite smooth really. Yeah, you got one. Where you got another one? Yeah, you got another one. Maybe you got used to it. But I don't know how well you can see it from here, but well, that is where I'm holding it there, so it looks like it should be quite grippy, but my fingers are just kind of like sliding over it really, so it's definitely not as grippy as it first looks. That's definitely the part where you get some grip, because you've got like the edges to push against, so I'll see what that's like, try it from there. But even then, that isn't like super grippy. It just kind of looks more aggressive than it is. I'm sure some people it'll still be too grippy for though, but when you're holding the dart quite lightly in your fingers, then you don't really press it like you do when you're just picking it up to feel it. So it always feels more grippy when you're holding it and pressing it and like that than when you come to throw it. Now that's more grippy, so it's giving me a bit of spin, so I'm catching the edges maybe a little bit. Oh, that went a bit smoother, but kind of hit my elbow a bit. But I think it's a really nice balance overall, and I think it's just down to the shape and the fact that it's not a particularly long dart. 13, wasn't it? Oh, that one went the best so far, but it didn't hit the target. Oh, it's close again. But that feels rather nice, that grip, so I think for mid grippers you're probably going to be happy with that. One last try from there. Oh, not far away. Oh, bugger. I had a few close ones there, but overall it's just a really nice balance. So I'm going to try it right at the end of the barrel for the rear grip. Oh, missed the board. Oh, that one went okay. But my elbow is a bit painful at the moment, so I'm a bit overcautious about extending my arm. I'll have a couple of goes on the 20s from the rear grip. Oh, nice and smooth one, treble 5. Well, treble 1 champion. One last go. I'm just going to move it down a little bit so I'm not quite in the middle, so I'm on the Throttlefang grip. It's hard to say that. Oh, that's quite a nice spot there, like. Bit too many beans on that one, but yeah, I think anywhere on that particular grip feels really nice. I think just overall it's a really nice balance, and I'm just a little bit disappointed with the front grip there because I was hoping it'd be a little bit more grippy, but if you're not into a grippy dart then you'll probably be happy with that. But those sections, they just give you that little edge there to push again, so rather nice there. So I think maybe mid to just slightly in front of rear, you're probably getting the best of the grip, but I think anywhere along the barrel it just has a nice pleasant feel in terms of the balance and really nice shape to it. Really nice looking dart again from Shot. Obviously it's not a cheap one, but I guess it's one of them darts that you're either going to like it or you're not. But if you do give it a go, I don't think you're going to be disappointed with it. It's just a really nice dart to throw. But for me personally, I wish that grip went a little bit closer to the front. So anyway, that's the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one. Happy darting.